Hi there, my name is Christina Fisher and I own The Messy Cookie, and you are opening one of our sample kits of our cookie painting party experiences. Now, I thought I would just walk you through a little bit of a preview of what you can expect. So when you dive into your cookie kits, when you unwrap your cookies, you're going to find our signature shortbread sugar cookies pre-iced with white icing, just like this. On top of that, you're gonna find our actual paints. Now, when I talk about paints, and I share this with the class, if you will, these are actually food coloring. So please keep in mind that when you open your paints, they might stain, so you might wanna open them over paper towels or possibly parchment paper, even just nice big plate, whatever works for you. But you just wanna make sure that we are careful when we're opening them the way we would be if you were working with any other paint. Also, you're gonna get a bunch of different types of tools, some of which are our paint brushes. So this is an example here of one that has a wider, flatter style of brush. And this one is one of our thinner brushes. So we like to provide a variety of a style of brush so that you get to have kind of a full experience and feel like you can be even more in control of creating that final design that you're looking for. Now, we're not gonna go through painting an entire cookie right now. However, I thought I would show you a couple of our fan favorites from a set that we did last summer. I actually think it was last spring. We did a gardening themed. So these are two of my favorite cookies that we've done, which are the gardening glove. How cute is that? And then this one here is our actual kind of like a little garden, if you will. Kind of actually finding all the veggies and playing with different textures for dirt and different styles of painting, from watercolor to really just straightforward like color on a cookie, almost like you're painting with acrylic paints. But we like to have fun with blending colors. We include paint palettes, all sorts of fun things so that you can really get the experience of almost like if Picasso were a baker. So we're gonna dive into our paints here and a cookie just to showcase a little bit of what you're looking at. Now, we of course do ask you guys to provide your own cups of water so you'll be able to clean your brushes between colors, but let's just have some fun here. And so if we were to dip right into this blue food coloring, let's see. Great. We're gonna take this, and we always use one of our circle-shaped cookies for a practice cookie, right? So you are actually going to wet your brush, dip it into the paint, and then you're just gonna paint down the side of one of your freebies here. And this is just gonna get you used to what it's working with, get you used to working with paint brushes, cookies, that sort of thing, because this is not something everyone has ever really done before, but it is very similar to the idea of painting on paper. So what's really cool about treating this like watercolor is that once you have some paint on your brush, if you wanna dip it into your water, and then you can even also take it right on the cookie. Look at that, it just changes the saturation of the paint on your brush. And so this really does start to play with the dynamic of watercolor, which I love watercolor painting, and painting on cookies is my favorite way to decorate. Now from here, we might say, okay, great, I kind of got the vibe for this, awesome. Let's add another color to the mix. Okay, so we have blue on our brush, maybe we'll rinse that off, right? Great, and let's take some green, okay? So you get your brush nice and greened up here, and you take the same cookie, and let's paint down the other side, right? Cool, okay, so with lots of paint right on your cookie, it's going to be really intense. Let's try to water that down a little bit. So let's, again, clean our brush off. And once we do that, now we have a little bit of green, but mostly water. And we're gonna start to kind of bring it into the middle here. And so then you kind of get to start to play with like what it's like when you bring two colors next to each other. How do you blend them? I'm actually gonna dry this brush off a little bit, and I'm gonna try to paint with a dry brush in between the two. And then you're gonna find that, look at this, we're coming up with a really nice shade of teal in the middle there. Not quite the middle, a little bit closer to the blue, but in that middle of where it is that they merge. And so this is kind of the fun behind the world of cookie painting. Imagine if we can do this with a circle, what can we do with a beautiful night sky? And then when we include maybe white food coloring, and I teach you how to throw speckles onto it, it creates almost like a beautiful starry night kind of feel, especially as we dive into the wintry season and utilizing, oh my gosh, sometimes we'll do a fun snow globe, or sometimes we will do like a winter evening. And so whether it looks like stars in the sky or really like a snowstorm kind of on your cookie, it's such a fun, different way to get to decorate and using different elements. And look at that. Oh, I just love that color palette. And look, you flip that, what do you have now? Look at this landscape, right? So when this dries, you could even go in and paint a little more. You can make fun texture here. Look at this, it hasn't even dried, and we're creating some really fun texture. And with this texture, maybe you decide to go in and add like cool little like yellow dots so they look like, you know, little like baby dandelions or buttercups or what have you. You can even take the white paint and then paint in clouds in the sky. There's really no limit to the different kinds of experiences we can have when we paint on sugar cookies. And, you know, it really is just something that I find to feel, the feedback that I get from most of my clients is that it is a much more approachable, accessible style of cookie decorating, as opposed to using icing, frosting, lots of tools that people have never experienced before, or people have experienced, but going in this direction with tools that people are familiar with, like holding a paintbrush, but in a capacity that they've never experienced before. So these are just some fun examples of different ways that we can do it. And then again, you know, just showing you some of those samples of some fun cookies. And of course, if you do scan the QR code, you'll be taken to my YouTube channel where you can see different forms of educational tips that I used for the recordings that will go along with some of our cookie painting videos. So we definitely love to do this live. My team and I, we love guiding people through painting these things, answering questions. When people have their own tips, suggestions, thoughts, we love bringing those in, and we really love to engage your team members. And it's always so fun to see just kind of like how people interact with each other when they're outside of their normal element, you know? And we just love to get to facilitate this. So, you know, we hope to get to share our really fun cookie painting experience with you this season. And I just appreciate you taking the time to check out our cookie kits.